Chapter 24. No! I screamed. I leapt from the machine, plowed through a mass of Taxxon bodies. My tail whipped through the air and strike, push through, strike, push through, strike, strike, strike. I reached the ramp and leaped clear over the last Taxxon in my way. Alloran, run! Arbron, no! I noticed he didn't care if Chapman got eaten, which is fair. I raced to the ramp and Arbron was closing in. The human Chapman was free when it was toward him that Arbron ran. The human Chapman screamed. Arbron reared back, ready to slam our body down on the frail human. Arsh Arbron, I cried. Arsh Arbron, you will stop. You will do your duty. I don't know what made me say that. I don't know. I only know that he hesitated, and as Chapman cowered, helpless, he remained poised. Behind me, I saw Taxxons falling back and up over them, climbed and leaped a handful of Harbinger warriors, 7 feet tall, blades on their wrists and elbows and knees. Blade horns raked forth from their sleek snake heads, short spiked tails twitching, ripping bird feet clawing at Taxxon flesh to advance. I realized I knew one Harbinger. It was Subvisor 7. Ah, so we meet again, Andalite, he said, sign delighted. Elfangor, right? That's the name you yelled so defiantly as you escaped. I was so afraid Taxxons may have gotten to you by now, and I so wanted you for myself. For a moment, no one moved. The injured Taxxons withdrew down the ramp to make way for the Harbinger. I was alone against half a dozen Harbinger, and behind me, Arbron still eyed Alloran hungrily, and with them Chapman. Whose side was Chapman on now, and whose side was Arbron on? Surrender, Elfangor, for Subvisor 7 practically purred. I won't kill you, I'll just use you. I'll leave this crude body and live inside your head, wrap around your smug, arrogant Andalite brain and make you my slave. And with your morphing power, run the galaxy before I'm done. You're that or death, Andalite. There is no third choice. I saw Arbron turn away from Alloran. He came to stand beside me, a massive 10-foot-long worm. Guess we're a long way from a good old Star Sword, eh, Elfangor, he said with a touch of his old humor. One lost, lonely pair of varnishes. Tell the Yeerks come to dream on, Elfangor. Tell them we're Andalites and we don't surrender. You heard my friend, Subvisor 7. You want me? Come and get me. And in great stories and legends, that kind of speech always scares the bad guys, but in real life it doesn't work that way. Okay, he said, I will come and get you. Cut him down! Cut him down! He screamed in sudden rage. His Harbinger leaped for me, but the ramp was narrow. I was only running for 2 at a time. Any trained ally can take care of a Harbinger one-on-one. They're fast, but we're faster. The first Harbinger swung his wrist blade, and I struck with my tail, and he no longer had a wrist blade. Or a wrist. Let me just... But the second Harbinger shot past him and got to my left. One of his comrades swung over the railing and leaped on the platform to our right, and the wounded Harbinger was still dangerous. The odds are getting worse quickly. More were cramming on the ramp, anxious to serve their Subvisor. Battle exploded suddenly into rapid thrusts and splashes. Harbinger blades made the air sing as they whipped their powerful arms and legs at me. Arbron did what he could, but Taxxon was helpless in a blade fight. The Harbinger just climbed over him to reach me. Elfangor, look out, Alloran screamed. Get him! What are you waiting for, Subvisor 7 roared. He's just one Andalite. I fell back under pressure. I had no time to think. None. Only time to react. Only time to block. I had been cut badly already. It was only a matter of time. And then a new Harbinger stepped forward. So how are you enjoying the war? Arnish Elfangor asked like thought speak. I was so stunned I almost missed the next blow. War Prince Alloran and Harbinger more. He spun for some guys to so much twitch he pressed his wrist blade against the Yeerk's throat. Don't move, Yeerk. Don't even breathe. Call off your men. Do it or I'll laugh when your head goes rolling over the ground. Hold, he cried. Back away. The Harbinger obeyed. They backed away and I panned and gasped for air. I was exhausted, bleeding. Lauren pressed her hands against a deep gash in my chest. The pressure slowed the loss of blood. You're still alive, she said. I was so worried. Now here's what we're going to do, Alloran said. The 2 humans, my 2 friends, are going aboard a Jahar, and you, Subvisor, coming with us. Once we're off the cradle, we'll toss you back out. How's that sound to you, Yeerk? He demanded, tightening his hold on a Subvisor. Do I have a choice? Well, there's always a choice, Yeerk. I can cut you right out of the Harbinger and feed your impotent slug body to your friend Taxxon there. That's one choice, or you can order your men back down the ramp, all the way down. Whatever became of the Andalite reputation for kindness and gentleness, the Yeerk mocked. What happened? We left in the ashes of Harbinger homeworld. You were there? I was there. My name is Alloran Simor Koras, War Prince Alloran. For the first time, the Subvisor seemed afraid. His mocking, arrogant attitude seemed to evaporate. He ordered Harbinger down a ramp, and together we backed carefully toward Jahar. Alloran, the Yeerk Subvisor, still gripped, Alloran still tending my wound, and Chapman, treacherous human who laid us all in this terrible mess. Only Arbron turned away from the open hatch of Jahar. Come with us, Arbron, I said. Look around. The free Taxxon have lost. Sylvian Hideout will be destroyed. There's no future here. Elfangor, there's no future for me anywhere. But you can't, I said. Who's going to remind me not to be so stiff? Who's going to laugh at me when I start talking about being a great prince? You go, Elfangor, he said gently. Go save the galaxy. Leave him, Alloran said. Warrior Arbron is a casualty of war. Chapter 25. We launched Jahar, there was no one to stop us, the battle still raging in the Yeerks had presence of mind to come after us, or so I thought. Alloran demorphed from his heart-rich body, and I was relieved, I guess it's all my expression. Did you think I'd end up like Alloran back there, trapped, a Nothet? No, Shelvengor, I am still myself. I am glad, sir, I said. Subvisor 7 stood in the corner, eyeing Alloran as he demorphed and resumed his usual Andalite body. Alloran seemed dazed, even Chapman seemed unusually quiet. No doubt he's afraid of what we would do to him. He deserved whatever we did to him. Your orders, sir, I asked the prince. He sneered. Ah, now you want orders. When I ordered you to flush those pools full of Yeerks out into space, you disobeyed me. But now you want orders. Now you want to be told what to do. I was too tired to be angry. I was even too tired to consider my earlier refusal to follow orders would probably destroy my career. What was I going to do? Explain some military tribunal I, the insignificant Orange, had thought his order immoral? Sir, the time matrix is— Silence, you young fool! He glared at me in rage. We haven't had time for that yet. First, we shall take care of business you kept me from taking care of. That taxi ship full of Yeerks is still in its cradle, still filled with Yeerk slugs. What do you think I've been doing the last day and a half? I've been shining in shadows, morphing and demorphing, and watching that ship. Prince, Alloran, is that really the most important thing to do? The first time since he demorphed as he turned to face me, he glared at me with his main eyes, and that's when I saw a look. The rage. The mad rage. The most important thing in war is to destroy your enemies, Shelvengor. Nothing is more important than destroying your enemies, do you understand? He turned to Stalk Eyes or Subvisor. You understand, don't you? You Yeerks understand. You said you would let me go, Subvisor cried. And so I will. Open the hatch, Shelvengor. Subvisor is going to see if the heart-mature body can fly. The visitor tensed up. He wasn't going to push out a spaceship without a fight. His heart-mature muscles bunched and rippled. He seemed glanced at Chapman. I swear. No. I had to be imagining things. It's just that Chapman seemed to shake his head almost invisibly. The Subvisor's face glazed over, his eyes went dead, and he relaxed his muscles. Slow to dead stop, Alloran ordered. Altitude? 50,000 feet at dully. We're still in atmosphere. Airspeed is now at dead stop. Dead stop. Appropriate, Alloran said. Oh, now open the hatch. What could I do? I was just an Arnish. I'd already defied Alloran once. If I defied him again, he was mad, insane. What could I do? I opened the hatch and warm Taxon air blew in strangely enclosed environment. It ruffled Lauren's golden hair. Get out, Yeerk, he said to Subvisor 7. I closed my main eyes, kind of stalk eyes focusing instruments. I couldn't look. Close the hatch, Alloran said a few seconds later. I dared to look and the Subvisor was gone. I looked out the exterior display screens, a tiny figure fell through the clouds. I looked away. Now we go back and fry that transport ship, he said briskly. Good to see you grow up a little, Shelvengor. Take us back over the southeastern corner of the spaceport. Maintain at present altitude, then we go pick up our missing time matrix, eh? He seemed cheerful, as if for a moment the madness was past. But I knew it wasn't over. We didn't need to destroy Yeerk's transport pools, we needed to secure the time matrix. But I'd given up arguing. I was tired, I was scared, I was sick from thinking of Alloran. I wanted to sleep and sleep and sleep and not wake up till I was home in my own grass under my own trees. I saw Lauren watching me. She seemed worried, concerned. Who wouldn't be? And yet... Chapman was watching too. He seemed tense. Understandable. And yet... I am just thinking about what Alloran wants him to do, and I think, well, disposing of the visitor is smart. He might do something. He's an active threat, so getting rid of him makes sense. The other Yeerks, not so much. I get that, you know, getting rid of them helps the war effort in general, but I'd say the time matrix is probably a bit more important, wouldn't you? I'd say, you know, get that and then maybe blow up the war casualties or whatever. But regardless... I also think generally his motive isn't very good. Like, I get why he'd want to do it just on a strategic level, but he seems to want to do it just to kill them, basically, which at that point is basically immoral, yeah. Just killing them because they're there. But anyway. What made you decide to come with us, asked Chapman. Do you expect mercy from us? You betrayed us. You betrayed your fellow human. You told the Yeerks about your Earth. You may have betrayed your entire species. He shrugged. Not my fault, though, is it? I was on Earth, minding my own business. I didn't ask to be kidnapped by a script knot. Didn't ask to be dragged halfway across the galaxy by you. I was just trying to protect myself. By making deals with the Yeerks, Alloran laughed. The Yeerks don't make deals, they enslave. Yeah, I guess that's what I realized. After a while, he said, Look, I'm sorry I came just a dumb human kid, okay? Give me a break. The thing is, that's what Andalites are known for. Toss prison airlocks, and they're gonna make it hard for Yeerks who might want to surrender to find our path less likely to. That is also true. Also, hello, Drac. That's the thing. Do they surrender? I don't know if they even accept surrenders in the first place, so who knows. But anyway. We're coming back over to spaceport, announces a lot of smoke. We should be able to get a good targeting lot with the shredder. Alloran didn't answer. He stared at the display screen, full of magnification to see the worm-like taxons below. You can see ships some burning from ballast, some tilted wildly over. The living hive had done some damage. We can see platoons of Harbinger rounding up taxons, and the other taxons are busy feeding. Somewhere down there was Alloran. Alloran aimed a shredder and carefully taking his time. He focused on a transport ship that contained thousands of helpless Yeerk slugs. Fire, Arna Shavangor. What? I said fire. Fry the Yeerks. You let them live, now you finish them. Undo your mistake and no one will have to know about your earlier cowardice. My finger reached for a firing pad. Do it, Elfangor, Alloran hissed. Chapter 26. My finger hovered over the pad. It was war, and a war you destroyed your enemies. Alloran was my prince. You obeyed your prince, but 10,000 defenseless Yeerks with one move of my finger? No. I'm gonna pull my hand away, blur mush of Alloran's tail by pressing against my throat. You think you can fight a clean war, Elfangor? Is that what you think? Or are you one of those who are happy enough to send someone like me does the dirty work for you? Their defense says calmly as I could, they are the enemy. Hypocrites. You're all hypocrites. We lost heart with your work as a weak, moralizing fools like you. Because of fools like you, I am disgraced and shunned out on trivial errands about arches under my command. Well, Prince Alloran, I honor you, but what is the difference how you destroy the enemy, he demanded. I know what he was talking about now. He's off somewhere in his own head, lost in memories. What does it matter if you killed him with a tail blade or a shredder or a quantum virus? Quantum virus? No. Even after a horror I'd seen, I was shocked. You used the quantum virus on Harbinger homeworld? The quantum virus is sort of disease of space-time. It slowly breaks down a force that holds some atomic particles together. It disintegrates whatever it affects. Living creatures affected find their very molecules breaking down. It can take days or weeks of agony. That was his secret, his disgrace. The Earth accused us of using the virus against him. We had denied it. Every Andalite believed it was another filthy lie. He stared at me. I cannot have a weak, cowardly fool like you messing up. I saw the corner of my eyes, a sudden movement, not faster than I expected. Chapman. He looked at Alloran, swinging with strong human hands. With tight clenched fingers, he hit Alloran on the side of the head. His head snapped back, more in surprise than pain, but it was enough. I saw my tail harden fast and turned the blade away and slammed his head against every ounce of power I had. He dropped like a stone, collapsed on the deck in a heap. I saw triumph in Chapman's face. Triumph. I should have known then. I should have realized. But instead I went to the medical kit with shaking hands and pulled out a tranquilizer hypo. I aimed it in the Mad Prince. It would keep him down for hours. Now I'm just wondering, how do you put this Actually, no, it's probably just like a syringe. For some reason, I always imagine it's like a juice or whatever they pours in his ear, since he doesn't have a mouth. But most likely it's just a syringe. That would make sense. You know, fast way to get in the bloodstream and all that. Now what, Chapman man? Now what? I shrieked. Now what? I just found out my own prince. I was sick to my bones, so there's no one else to turn to. No one else to make decisions. Stupid as it been, it was still up to me. We have to pick something. We have something to pick up, I said, forcing calm my voice, so we get as far from this evil place as the ship will go. Pour it on the ice ducks. Chapman nodded as if satisfied. Laura came over, put her soft human hand on my chest wound, and began to scab over, but the exertion of knocking Alloran out opened the wound up again. She tore a super fat from the bottom of one of her artificial skins. She tied it around her chest to protect the wound. Thank you, I said. Is life always insane for you, space cadets? Oh yes, someone treated attacks on homeworld, help inspire a civil war, mutiny my prince, located time matrix, all in the company of strange aliens. Just business as usual. He said that his wound had already begun to scab over, so either Andalites have really fast healing or they just have medicine for that. I'm guessing the latter. I was busy watching the ground, looking for a place where I crashed written on a ship. I saw Lauren smile. Hey, you made a joke. I didn't think you did humor, Elfangor. When the world goes mad, what else can you do? I thought of Alloran, still making little jokes in his life as a wreck. I wonder if he knew the world was mad. Lauren just looked sad, but she forced a smile again. Speaking of crazy, I see you driving a bright yellow Mustang back there. It's a wonderful machine, primitive but strangely enjoyable. I cut thrust and peered closely to the screen. There it is, we're going down. Need to clear away the wreckage so the tractor can grab the time matrix. I landed Jahar in a narrow valley a few feet away from the wreckage of Skritnaw's ship. I grabbed a handheld shredder, opened a hatch, and hurried outside. It took a few minutes to burn away a wreckage of Skritnaw's ship and reveal the time matrix. It was for this that so much horror had occurred, for this most powerful of weapons. It set him on the wreckage so harmless looking. If the Yeerks had noticed this there, they would have stopped at nothing to get it. It was lucky Laura never told them while I had her captive. Lucky that Chapman never did. Lucky. And lucky I've been able to hold off the Harbinger, and lucky I've been able to get away from the spaceport without being pursued. More luck. Too much luck. I really was a fool. I felt a cold shiver crawl up my spine. I was behind the time matrix hidden from Jahar. Suddenly I knew what was happening inside Jahar while I worked to free the matrix. I knew what I would see when I walked back around that off-white globe. Trembling with despair and exhaustion, I set Shredder to his next lowest setting. I'd duplicate Alloran's feet. 3 quick shots. 3. I sucked in deep breaths and bolted at top speed. Leaping from behind the time matrix, Lauren raising a Dracon beam in her hand. I fired and she dropped, twitching wildly from the energy pulse. Chapman fired, but he was weak and shaking where he just endured. I fired, a human dropped to the dirt, but there was one more left. I knew it. I knew I had very little time. Sudden boom, and I spun and fired. Missed. Not a complete miss. I stunned his right arm. The hand holding the Dragon Beam dropped useless. He stood there, rage on his face. Alloran. War Prince Alloran similar Koras. But not really him anymore. For the rest of my life I remember that moment. The moment I looked for the first time upon the abomination. Because Alloran was no longer Alloran anymore. Very good, Arnish Elfangor. It took you a while, but you figured out in the end. Subvisor 7. Yes, but not for long. The Yeerk who made the first Andalite controller. The Yeerk who captured the fabled time matrix. I'd say I can count on a major promotion. Wouldn't you? Chapter 27. I raised my shrine and pointed at Alloran. No, Subvisor 7. You made Chapman a controller. You're in his head. The Harbinger I thought was you. Just a trick. Of course, a number of people made Alloran one of us. And while he so considerately worked to clear away the time matrix, I revived Alloran, transferred myself to him. The first and only Andalite controller. It was so kind of you not to old warrior out for me. I didn't know how I was ever going to take him. He is a wily creature. A bit mad, but he knew war. You saw how ruthless it wasn't tossing the poor Harbinger who played the role of me. Yes, he was a warrior. The truth seemed like a brick wall is true. I made it possible for Subvisor to take control of him. I created the abomination. Chapman told us about the time matrix, of course. We need you to show where it was. The attack by a mountain taxes could have disrupted everything, but you know, in the end it was convenient. And you were growing suspicious. You're too busy worrying about your fellow Arnish. You didn't have time to wonder how two humans just happened to be waiting for you. You didn't wonder why my troops let you escape. I had done this. I created the abomination. I delivered a time matrix to the hand of this vile creature. But you know the best part, the Subvisor laughed. I really couldn't have let you burn a transport ship full of my people. Chapman didn't know about the Yeerks on transport, so neither did I. And if you had gone along with Alloran, I would have had to try and stop you. So would my brother Yeerk and a human girl. It's one thing to sacrifice a poor fool who played a role of me, but 10,000 Yeerks. No, I would have had to act, and then you and him together would have most likely made short work of me. I couldn't breathe. I had failed. So enormously the entire Andalite species was at risk. But no, Elfangor is one of those good Andalites, he sneered. You don't go in for slaughtering the helpless, do you? Ha ha ha. Wonderful. Your qualms delivered Alloran right to me. Alloran and the Time Matrix. Mine. Really, I said faintly. I seem to be one holding the shredder. There are a dozen bugfires closing in right now. You've lost, little one. You'll be a cinder by the time to get here, I threatened. Oh, you won't kill a helpless foe? I have no weapon. I am your prisoner. I surrender to you, Elfangor. I surrender. He spread his hands in a gesture of helplessness and he laughed at me. Laughed. You're right, Subvisor. I won't kill you. I squeezed the trigger, the stunt setting knocked him to the ground. I ran to Alloran and dragged her unconscious body into the ramp of the Jahar, and then after a second's hesitation, Chapman as well. I was beginning to try dragging him over when the first wave of bugfires blew by overhead. They shot past and in a described tight circle was coming back toward us. 2 more bugfires, and 2, the sky was filling. I would never get the Jahar off the planet unless... Had Subvisor 7 warned his people he might be in an Andalite body? Surely he would have. He would have had to just to avoid being accidentally shot by his own people. But could the Yeerks tell one Andalite from another? I raced the ship toward a medical kit and yanked out a stimulant hypo. I ran to unconscious Subvisor and emptied the stimulant into his bloodstream, reviving in less than a minute. The bugfires are hovering overhead now, so I'm preparing to land. I ran back to Jahar, closed the hatch, and punched up the ship-to-ship communication. The face of Harbinger controller appeared on my communication screen and stared at me with fury and distaste Yeerks always have. I stared straight back and a loud, arrogant, thought-speak voice said, What? You don't recognize your Subvisor? I've done it, you fool, as I said I would. I acquired an Andalite body. The Harbinger eyes were wavered, uncertain. If I showed any hesitation, I was lost. I passed as Yeerk. Subvisor could not show doubt. You see that Andalite on the ground? Yes, Subvisor 7. Good, you're not blind as well as stupid. I want to see him run, do you understand? As soon as I lift it off, make him run, and when he's good and tired, when his knees buckled exhaustion, make him dead. And if you fail me, I'll feed you to the Taxans. Subvisor 7, out. I switched off screen out waiting for an answer. Maybe it'd work, maybe not. I keyed the controls so Jahar got him gently off the ground. I switched an exterior view and panned from the viewfinder until I framed his Subvisor. He was just climbed to his feet. I gave him credit for one thing. He wasn't an idiot. He knew what was happening, and he broke into a run just as a hovering firefighter Dracon beam near him. I let Jahar drift casually over a Skritnal wreck, focusing all my attention on power on Jahar's track beam and lashed on the white spear of the Time Matrix. Subvisor 7 was running at full anti speed across the sand, pursued by teasing, taunting bugfires, seeming to enjoy shooting within inches of him. The Jahar rose, a Time Matrix in tow. I pulled the machine closer and closer, snugged it up to the Jahar's belly, and lashed into place with energy ropes. We rose up the atmosphere of Taxan homeworld through the weird bright clouds. Only then to begin to dawn on the Yeerk, so ship to ship snapped on. An ugly, suspicious Harbinger face glared at me. Subvisor 7, plan control respectfully directs you to the ground. Exactly, yeah, that was a pretty good ruse. I tried bluffing once more. When I refused to turn back and land, they knew. Tactical showed a storm of bug fires ringing out from the surface of the plant, but it was too late. I punched a hard burn prey to lose myself in zero space. There's no always tails for having Yeerk and thus none for not having one. Exactly, exactly. So if you can walk the walk and talk the talk, they'll get fooled, at least probably. I guess at that point it's down to cues. Like for instance, he was able to pull off how Subvisor 7 would sound and act, so that's good enough. Sound is another thing, because I don't know how it works with telepathy, but I assume they have a certain voice. If he had a particular voice he was using, he could probably just emulate that particular voice as well, or if he didn't, then it doesn't matter. I don't think they ever get into that, but I think when it comes to Visor 3, it's more of a tone that you pick up on. Chapter 28. So this is Zero Space, Lauren said, looking up for the viewport. We've been in a full day, I still understand what it is. I directed my stock eyes to the viewport. I saw blank white, empty, whiteness. Zero space isn't anything really, said quietly. It's anti-space, like antimatter and gravity. Well, zero space is anti-space. I explained this at least twice, but I guess she was trying to make conversation. Just be act there, you're gonna be angry, and bam, in a Yeerk disguise. Exactly. She'd been going through the worst experience any creature can endure. She'd been made a controller. I believe she was even managing to talk without weeping. Fortunately, Yeerk and Lauren's had been made at the end of its feeding cycle. Yeerk's feeding controller raised every 3 days must drain our host in return. So I made a deal. I could keep Lauren tied up and wait for Yeerk to starve to death, or she could come out willingly. I agreed to put it in hibernation, freeze it, and decided that was better than death by starvation. I kept my word. I had to crawl out of Lauren's ear. I froze it, and I injected it from a ship when it was vacuum in real space. Someday it may be found revived, more likely to sink into the gravity well of a star and be incinerated. Ah, so it's fine to kill them when it's up to chance. Especially since I made sure to inject it close to the sun. Okay, not so much chance. Maybe that wasn't living up to the spirit of my deal with the Yeerk, but somehow I just didn't care. My notion of proper behavior had been brought disaster. I was a fool, a child living out story notions of decency and fairness. There's no decency in war. Alra tried to teach me that, and I learned it too late. Have you decided where we're going, Elfangor? She asked gently. He doesn't know, Chapman said. He spent his day now sitting in a corner glaring darkly at both of us. Severe sound had been inside Chapman's head. If he had taught the foolish human a lesson, it sure didn't show. Elfangor's confused, isn't I right? He screwed up bad. Alra trapped in one of the Simpy bodies. Alra made a first-ever Andalite controller. All sorts of time, it's just gonna be tough explaining that to people back home, huh? I ignored him. Back home. What was home anymore? Was I supposed to return home? To my parents? Run free in the old familiar grass? My days, my old childhood friends? But I wasn't a child anymore. My home was still there, but I'd never belonged there again. Laura came over to me. Elfangor, snap out of her, going in circles. Yes, I know. You did the best you could. You're just a kid like me. I'm an Arashand-like military. I just became a prince and caused him to be enslaved by Yeerks. The Yeerks will learn everything he knows about our defenses, everything he knows about capabilities of our weapons, everything he knows about the locations of our ships. At least he wasn't a scientist, so he can give them morphing technology or computer software, but it's still the greatest intelligence victory in their history. Chapman shook his head. I guess I was right to throw in with them anyway. You Andalites are going down unless... Lauren glared at him. Why don't you shut up? Chapman just grinned. Unless you use that time matrix thing, go back in time, find that first little Yeerk tribe of Yeerk slugs, kill them, and the entire rest species is gone. Gone, they never existed. What do they call that? Oh yeah, genocide. You up for a little genocide, Elfangor? I shook my head really. Don't waste your time taunting me, Chapman. It won't work. Lauren puzzled. What do you mean? He's trying to go me using a time matrix. Remember, he'd been a controller, however, briefly. Severe 7 left no instructions in case something went wrong. He knows to use a time matrix to return to real space. My guess is Yeerk's placed a homing beacon on Jahar. If we return to real space, we'd light up every Yeerk sensor in a million light years. I could see from the rage on his face I guessed correctly. At least I got one thing right. I wasn't willing to fall for... Suddenly as if a light had gone into my head. Whenever Jahar emerged from real space, the Yeerks would go tearing after it. No matter where. A trap. I could spring a trap, but where? Where should I draw them? To the Star Sword, my old ship. She's off pursuing Yeerk task force near Gasha Nebula. Or Gracia Nebula? She'd been hoping to meet a second dome ship there. 2 dome ships and the Jahar, enough firepower to handle just about anything Yeerks could muster. I went to control panel and into coordinates. You have a plan? More or less. I was already having doubts. There is a place called the Gracia Nebula. We don't know much about it. There are rumors of sentient species living there, and there are rumors that Yeerks are exploring it. My old ship, the Star Sword, went there to see if I could locate a Yeerk task force. So I made your old ship. Is it close to Earth? No. Elfangor, are we ever going back home? Lauren, I will do my best. He snored, and you see how good his best is. You made old Chris Earth goodbye. Chapter 29. We'll emerge into real space. We're lucky we won't be far from the Star Sword. If we're even luckier, there'll be additional alien ships close by. From that point, it'll only take the Yeerks an hour or so to start showing up. And then? Space battle, I suppose. Alien fires and Yeerk fires going at us too, of course. Is there any way I can help? Yes, show me the best way to tie up a human, I said, looking at Chapman. I don't want any distractions. We tied the human around his feet and hands using spirit conduit hose, and we tied the hands to his feet behind his back. One last thing, showed a short length of hose and wrapped around his face, covering his mouth. Now I don't have to listen to him. It's a piece I understand. Most beasts communicate making noises with their mouths, but it never occurred to me to silence someone with a piece of hose. To silence an Andalite, you have to knock him out. This won't hurt him? No, unfortunately. She smiled to show she was joking. After all she'd been through, being kidnapped by a script being made control, she could still laugh. I wonder if I'm wrong to think humor was a weakness. Jesus, that's something they thinks that at all. What the heck do they teach those Andalites? I wonder if Arbron could still laugh. Elfman, are you tempted by what he said? I mean, for me, I'd want to use a time machine to change things, you know? Like go back in time and avoid getting kidnapped to begin with? She laughed. Not that. Look, my life was pretty dull. I know when you take me back to Earth you'll want to erase all my memories, but even though it's horrible, I don't think I'd want to have never met you. It was for my mom worrying and all. I was surprised and pleased. In Skirting on Ship when I found the Mustang, I also found pictures of Earth. It looked very beautiful. Wonderful, lush-looking grass and tall trees and streams of water. Is your home like that? We have places like that, she said, smiling sadly. It's a place we went to once back when I was little. My dad was still with us before he went to the war. A place called, Yosemite? We camped out in a tent. It's like that. And you stick white cylinders in your mouth to smile at the beauty of it all. Why, small like cylinders? She smiled a strange but beautiful human laugh. You're looking at cigarette ads. That's why pictures called cigarettes are so bad for you. Actually, very bad. They make you sick. So they go to beautiful places and use sickening cylinders? Why? But she was laughing too hard to answer, and pretty soon I had no idea what was so funny. I was laughing too. The laugh only heard by her inside her head. They teach you to be a child soldier in Andalite school. Yeah, exactly. That's depressing, but there it is. So, why don't you want to use this time matrix thing? I waved my stalks forward and back in a gesture of uncertainty. You can't just go messing with time. They say it's insanely complicated. Sure, maybe I can go back and try and stomp out the first Yeerks, but who knows how many other things that may affect, to be honest. I guess I'm scared of the Elemist. The what? Supposedly the race to build a time matrix thousands and thousands of years ago. They built it, and then supposedly, as far as anyone could tell, they vanished. The entire species just vanished. You think it's because they used it? No one knows. Some say they still exist, but they move beyond normal space dimensions we know. Some say they're almost all powerful. I shrugged. Of course, others say they're gone forever. They never existed. Now our parents tell their children stories about them. Fairy tales. Are fairies magical beings in your mythology? Not just fairies, as elves and leprechauns and Santa and hobbits and werewolves and vampires. Even aliens from outer space. I smiled and laughed. Yes, those outer space aliens are quite troublesome. Doesn't the time matrix prove they're real? Well, I don't know. But if the Elamists are real, if they do live in dimensions beyond our own, then they have powers we couldn't imagine. Pretend... No, never mind. No, tell me, she urged, unless you have something else to do. Okay, well... You know that the space-time has 10 dimensions. There's no dimensions of up, down, left, right, forward, back. There's a fourth, which is time. There are 6 others that they have curled inside themselves so we don't see or feel them. All we feel are 3 space dimensions in time. She nodded and I wondered what this meant, but she didn't ask me to stop, so I went on. Imagine if instead of 3 dimensions we only had 2. Imagine if we were flat and we couldn't go up or down, just the other 2 directions. Call us the flatties, see? Like we lived on a piece of paper. Exactly. If we were drawing on a piece of paper, someone came along and drew a box around us, we could never get out, because the lines of the box would be our walls. But if a 3-dimensional person came along, they could lift that flatty right out of the box. They wouldn't even know what was happening because he'd never gone up or down. He doesn't know if up and down exist. So you're saying we're like the flatty, except we're in 3 dimensions, not 2. Like we're cubies or something. Yes. If some creature came along who existed in more dimensions than us, he'd be able to do things that would be impossible for us. Yeah, I think that's probably a Flatland reference. I've read that story myself. A little depressing, but the idea of the whole dimensions and everything is very interesting. And that's basically amounts to that, yeah. If these elements live in other dimensions that we're not aware of, they could do things that we can't perceive, but could somehow change things around our world just because they perceive things a different way. They could perhaps box us in or lift us out of constraints we don't have any way of getting around ourselves. That sort of thing. Or could change our world in ways we couldn't comprehend, which the element certainly does, like stopping time, transporting them around, forcing them out of morph, giving Tobias the ability to morph again, even though it should be impossible. That sort of thing. But he doesn't seem to interfere much. But what he has done is definitely things that no one else could reproduce. Anyway. So if a creature came along and existed in more dimensions, that's to be able to do things that would be impossible for us. Elements, that's what they are? Maybe. I'd like to say no one knows. But someone built a time matrix, someone real, someone who isn't around anymore. So maybe we could use it and pop in out of time, maybe we disappear like the elements have, or maybe we just make them angry. Exactly. But if you give it to your people, won't they use it anyway, even with all the risk? A week ago, I would have said absolutely not. I would have said Andalites don't do things like that, not even in war. But now, whatever Alloran did in the Harbinger planned was wrong, wasn't it? I stared over my main eyes. Lauren, I don't know what's right or wrong anymore. I just don't. The computer signaled we were nearing the translation point. We were going back to normal space set, and by the way, if we do survive, I'll listen to get you back to Earth. Could you show me the place of the grass and the trees and the tall waterfalls? It's a date. Could we have a Mustang there too? She put her arm around her waist and looked deep in my eyes with her tiny blue human eyes. Anything you want, Elfangor, just no white cylinders.